as if to greet and touch and hold the hands of those who came. Someone might stoop to leave a rose, a letter or a poem, a message to a young man loved and lost, and to show they still remember those who never made it home, who built the walls so long and tall and paid the bitter cost. And every name's a father, or a husband, or a son, or a daughter, or a brother, or a cousin to someone, or a name might be a classmate, or a friend you may recall. There's nearly 60,000 fallen names waiting at the wall. As I watch the lines of people who walked by in slow parade, I read a different story in each face, and I couldn't help but wonder at the pilgrimage we made. A common bond, if any, might have brought us to this place. There were tourists and the curious, and some veterans who came, still others who sought an answer to it all. All I know, left not quite the same, with our memories alive and well, and waiting at the wall. And every name's a father, or a husband, or a son, or a father, or a brother, or a cousin to someone, or a name might be a classmate, or a friend you may recall. There's nearly 60,000 fallen names waiting at the wall. There's nearly 60,000 fallen names still waiting at the wall. When I was growing up as a boy, I didn't know any Celtic songs whatsoever, because I grew up in a little state called Delaware. We didn't have any Celtic influence down in Delaware. You know, we had a chemical company called DuPont. We had a University of Delaware. We had a senator by the name of Biden, but we gave him to you. He's now Vice President of the United States, so I hope that's working out. But you know, when I came up here and became a member of the Massachusetts State Police, I started hearing these great Celtic songs, and I started hearing the pipes, and I thought it was just a fantastic thing. Now, the one song you always hear the pipes play, that's the common piping, but you didn't really know that music went to it, it's called Scotland the Brave. Italy boasts of her gay gilded waters, her vines and her bowers, and her soft sunny skies. Her sons drink in love from the eyes of her daughters, where freedom expires amid softness and sighs. Scotland's blue mountains one, where hardy cliffs apart, towering in grandeur are dearer to me. Land of the misty cloud, land of the tempest loud, land of the brave and proud, land of the free. Enthroned on the peaks of her own Highland mountains, the spirit of Scotia reigns fearless and free. Her green tartan waving over blue rock and mountain, proudly she sings looking over the sea. Here among my mountains wild I have serenely smiled when armies and empires against me were hurled. Firm as my native rock, I have withstood the shock of England, of Denmark, of Rome and the world. steeds of Branson, deep crosses still trotting down in their path. The eyes of her sons with their bright swords are glancing, triumphantly riding through ruin and death. Bald hats and nodding plumes wave hard their bloody tones, deep-eyed and gold is the green tartan's wave. Shifting are the ranks of steel, down is the horseman's wheel, victorious in battlefield, Scotland the brave. Bald hats and nodding plumes wave hard their bloody tones, deep-eyed and gold is the green tartan's wave. Shifting are the ranks of steel, down is the horseman's wheel, victorious in battlefield, Scotland the brave. Victorious in battlefield, Scotland the brave. And one of the most beloved Irish songs that I only learned when I came up here, and my mom tried to get me to learn it when I was just a little boy. She'd say to me, "Oh, Danny, boy. Oh, Danny, boy." I didn't get it, I was a blockhead. But it's a song about a father standing with his son, and they hear the pipes echoing down the valley and over the glen, and they know that Danny must go off to fight a battle. And the father says, "You must go, but I must stay behind, and if I should die before you return from battle, I hope you'll come visit my grave, because I'll know, and I'll be happy." And in the beginning, when this song was first written, it wasn't about a father sending his son off. It was about a mother standing with her son and sending him off to war. I offer it to all those you hold deep in your hearts. This is "Oh, Danny Boy." Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's going, and all roses falling. It's you must go, and I must die. But come ye back when the summer's in the I am dead as dead country singer who wrote a song way back in the early 1980s. And I got to talk to him about this song. The guy's name is Lee Greenwood. And, you know, when I was in the Marine Corps, there wasn't very much patriotism. There was a kind of in-between. People were still really upset about Vietnam, and we had a tough time with the Iranians taking so many American hostages. And that's when I enlisted, but people were not waving the red, white, and blue. And Lee Greenwood told me he wrote this song all the way back then to try to bring generations together. And he never realized that his song would be such a kind of a big hit, known as the really country anthem for this country. You know it either by God Bless the USA or Proud to be an American. There we go. If tomorrow all the things were gone I worked for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife, I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, for the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I'll know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, gave that right to me, and I'll gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA. Well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say it. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I'll know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me, and I'll gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. That I'm proud to be an American, where at least I'll know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, gave that right to me, and I'll gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. I know that the day is long, and I know you want to get to some raffle prizes and such. I want to just finish up with probably the greatest patriotic song for this country. A song that was written by the great Irving Berlin, who's made famous by the one and only Kate Smith. And now and again, I have the honor to step out onto the hallowed grass of America's most beloved ballpark and sing. At the 7th inning stretch, I get to perform sometimes this great song. But you know, I got a call not too long ago by a man who just passed away. His name was Lou Gorman, manager of the Red Sox, a United States Marine. And Lou called me up and says, you know, Dan, we'd like you to come out today and sing not for a ball game, but for a tribute to a man who was arguably one of the greatest baseball players of all time, but moreover, he was a great United States patriot. He was a naval aviator. He was a United States Marine, who many people believe his average would have been just incredible had he not left his chosen profession at the top of his career to serve the United States of America. Of course, I'm talking about the one and only Ted Williams. And I found myself locked up off a second base in full dress uniform in front of me, in the infield, USMC in big white letters. In front of me, the United States Marine Corps color guard, the outfield, the entire United States Marine Corps band. That evening, I get to sing 2 songs. First, our national anthem, and second, once again, this song that was written by the great Irving Berlin and made famous by Kate Smith. And if the spirit moves you, I hope you'll join me, and God bless America.
While the storm clouds gather far across the sea, let us swear allegiance to a land that's free. Let us all be grateful for a land so fair, as we raise our voices in a solemn prayer. God bless America, the land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, the land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. Oh, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with gold. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Thank you very much. My brothers, your sons, I carry it with me when I'm out there. And if I explode at Fenway Park singing God Bless America, I tell, just pick me up and toast a Guinness to me, because I'll be a happy man. I love this country. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Hope you don't mind. I'm going to say a few words, and I'm going to kind of park myself over here. Just a few addendums to Jared's story. I would like you all to know that Brian Bradbury, the soldier that was hit and down in that little depression that Jared tried to save, he did live through that ordeal. At least until that evening, where the irony comes in. They sent a medevac helicopter. The plateau they were on was so small and rocky they couldn't land. So they sent down a cable, and they first raised Derek James, who had been shot in the back and the wrist, and he went up to the helicopter. Brian, however, was so badly injured that he couldn't go up by himself. So an Air Force medic came down what they call a jungle swing. Some of you guys know what that is. To help bring Brian up to the helicopter. And they sent the cable down with a jungle swing. And with Heath Craig, lieutenant, came down, he administered to Brian. He put Brian on the jungle swing, and he sat on the swing to hold Brian. And they began to raise it to the helicopter. And a goddamn 50-cent part broke. And that swing fell on the mountainside, killing both Brian and Heath. A goddamn 50-cent piece. I see Scott Brown here talk about military cuts. A 50-cent piece. And 2 men lost their lives. Cut the military, while all those congressmen and senators go on their vacations and receive, after 3 months service, a total retirement benefit, better medical benefits than any of us will ever see. I'm sorry, it just makes me a little angry that my son gave his life to save someone whom he did save, who lost his life because of a 50-cent piece. A lot of people ask me, why did Jared do what he did? He tried once, wasn't that enough? He tried twice, wasn't that enough? I mean, after the first time, every single military gun of the enemy was trained on him. Every one. But he went out a third time. And I'll tell you why. Because he had to. He had no choice. It was here, in his heart and in his soul, that Brian was his boy, and he had to try his hardest. He could never give up. He had to do the right thing. I wish Congress would listen to this. Never give up. Try your hardest. Do the right thing for America, as my son did, as Stephen's son did. Do the right thing. Forget what party you belong to. That's BS. We have people out of work. We got soldiers that come home and have no job. I went up to Fort Drum where my son was. I went to the PX. All the women are in line getting groceries, paying for them with food stamps. Their husbands are serving and dying, and they're on welfare. Hello? Jared did what he did because he had to. It was in his soul. He would never give up. He would never leave a fallen comrade behind. Never, never, never. Steve, I want you to know this. I want them to listen, but I want you to know how much work, how much good Scott has done since his passing. The only way I can live with my son's death is to remember that God said, hey, look, Jared, Scott, you're doing a phenomenal job here on the planet. But you know you can do a hell of a lot better from up here. And from up there, you heard what Scott's doing. That would never, ever have happened with Scott here on the planet. Though Scott was doing great things here, he has done greater things from heaven. And so has Jared. We have started a scholarship fund in Jared's name. To date, we've given out over $10,000 in scholarships to children graduating from high school with military connections. We have raised and given out over $300,000 in baby goods to pregnant military moms. We give a baby shower for them every year. A shower they would never have because they're on bases nowhere near their home or their family. And we give them cribs and strollers and baby carriers and car seats and diapers and baby wipes, and little giraffes and books to read. Most recently, we started a program called Flags for Vets. We decided it would be a good idea to put flags on veterans' graves on Memorial Day and on Veterans Day. And everybody says to me, well, gee, Paul, isn't that done? Well, I'll tell you, my son died in 2006 in June. We buried him on July 2nd. On November 11th, I went to his grave at the National Cemetery in Bourne, Massachusetts, which houses 56,000 veterans. And not one, not a single one, had a flag on his grave. Not one. It's hard to believe, isn't it? 56,000 veterans at a national cemetery, and not one had a flag on their grave. I was so angry, I can't tell you, I'll use bad words. I went to the superintendent and said, why? Every cemetery I drive by, even a little cemetery in my town that has maybe 20 graves in it, every single military person in that and every cemetery I drive by has a flag on Veterans Day. And here I am at a national cemetery with 56,000 veterans, and not a single one of them has a flag on their grave. He said, well, you notice on the road end we have all flags. That's our avenue of flags. We thought that would be sufficient. Because flags on the graves make it really hard to mow the lawn. It's tough to maintain the cemetery. It's tough to live without my son. It's tough to see these men and women who served this country who are not honored with a flag on their grave. It took me 4 years, talking to congressmen and senators. I can't tell you how many generals I talked to. I went all the way up to the Secretary of Defense, Secretary of the Army. I went to the Veterans Administration. I emailed every single veterans organization in the country. And after 4 years, I finally got permission to put flags on those veterans' graves. This past Memorial Day, with the help of 1,500 volunteers, we placed 56,000 flags in Bourne, Massachusetts. On September 11th, at the Bourne Rotary, we placed almost 3,000 flags, one for every person that was lost on September 11th. And in 2 weeks, on November the 5th, Saturday at noon, we will again be at the cemetery in Bourne, and we will place 56,000 plus flags on the graves there. I invite all of you and your families and friends to join us at 12 noon at the National Cemetery in Bourne, Massachusetts to help us place those flags. And again a week later on Sunday the 13th at noon to help remove them. I hope that if you can't make it, you can encourage others to do so, or maybe make a contribution to our flags program. This is the good that has come from the death of my son and the death of Steve's son, that from heaven they are helping everybody. They're helping their fellow veterans. They're helping their fellow citizens. God bless you all. God bless you.
And crown thy goods with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for heroes proved in liberating strife, more than self their country loved. More than life. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy goods with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
But what happened from there is I said, you know, I have to motivate people and instruct people about this great song. And I took history and I put it in a narrative about the great Francis Scott Key, just to pull people in. And I started doing this, and one time at the 100 Club, there was, at that time, it was Robert Kraft, the owner of the Patriots, and at that time, Drew Bledsoe. And I performed this version of the national anthem, and he remembered that. And after September 11th, at the resume of play, Robert Kraft called up and says, I want that guy, and I want that anthem. And this is what I performed at the resume of play for the National Football League after September 11th. Now, the only difference is that many people, you guys know, but many people don't realize that the great Francis Scott Key wrote 4 verses of our national anthem. The 4th being, in my estimation, one of the most beautiful. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, imagine, if you will, that the year is 1814, and this nation is at war. You're on board a ship sailing toward the enemy fleet. That same enemy that just burnt your nation's capital to the ground. Your mission is to win the release of a prisoner of war, a respected physician, and your friend. You're aboard the British flagship, and after tense negotiations, they agree to release your friend. However, you all remain captive because of the battle that is about to take place. On the morning of 13 September 1814, the British fleet began a bombardment against your homeland, the likes of which have never been seen before. Rocket after rocket, cannonball after cannonball, for 25 hours they pound on. But through the night, you're able to look toward the shore, and you can still see the stars and stripes flying in the breeze. And in the morning, the bombardment ends and there is silence. And as the sun comes up over the horizon, you're able to look toward the shore and see that the troops of Fort McHenry have raised an American flag that is so large and so grand that each of its 15 stars and stripes measure 2 feet across. A flag that is so magnificent, it cries out, "This is the United States of America, and we will never surrender." You are so moved by this show of guts and resolve, you write the following song. Your name? Francis Scott Key. This is your national anthem.
Peace, may this heaven rescued land praise the power that hath made and preserved
Mr. Stephen Millett, who will give us the official narrative of his son, First Lieutenant Scott.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. It's important. It's important we gather and hear these stories. We're pretty removed from war in Natick, Framingham, Sudbury, wherever you're from. I think us coming together and sharing stories tonight, I would like for the Monty's and Millie's story to be told wherever you are in your lives. Get that word out to folks that there's some great kids sacrificing for us. Over the past 11 months, there have been many tributes and memorials held to honor my son Scott, all of which were done with honor and dignity, and the Millie family is truly grateful. However, I have to tell you, at the beginning and end of every day, our hearts are full with pain, with the loss of our beautiful son and brother. He was such a presence in our family. Although his life was taken from us far too soon, we'll do our best to honor him while we continue to move forward. We simply must move forward. We don't get a choice. And we also know that's what Scott would want us to do. President Dwight D. Eisenhower said, "The most terrible job in warfare is to be a first lieutenant leading a platoon onto a battlefield." Ironically, my son Scott's dream was to be just that, and he led his platoon bravely into battle. Scott began his military career at University of New Hampshire, culminating in becoming the company executive officer, graduating cum laude, and accepting his commission as lieutenant. Months of leadership school, airborne training, and more schooling led him to the prestigious Ranger training. A grueling 62 days with ridiculous physical training, lack of food and sleep, mental toughness was tested. His body and mind were stressed to the max. The number of men that began the Ranger training was 338. With failure comes dismissal. There is no shame in this. The number of men that graduated that cycle was 90, one of which was Scott. As Scott emerged from the Florida swamps on his last day of training, the Secretary of Defense swooped in his helicopter, Robert Gates. He was waiting there to shake hands with the country's newest Rangers. That photo brought this family so much pride in his accomplishments that we could hardly believe it. Now it sits next to the letter of condolences from the same office. The Milley family oozed with pride as we attended the impressive Ranger graduation. Scott gave command and led 30 men to that graduation. I thought to myself, Scott is one of 3 that's leading 3 groups of 30 to their Ranger graduation. That means he was in the top 3 of the 90 brightest and best trained warriors this cycle of Ranger School had produced. He never mentioned it. He didn't want any praise or recognition for any of his achievements. Scott's mission, along with his men, was to patrol an area in Baraki, in the mountains, where few American soldiers had been. As they entered the village, they quickly became aware they were being eyed and followed by approximately 11 Taliban. Just before the situation was to deteriorate, Scott began to radio for more help. The radio wasn't working. They were on their own. Scott's training and instinct as a soldier took over, and he ordered his men to take cover in a dry riverbed, and they were to abort their mission and exit the village. The men that had earlier stalked them set up an ambush. As Scott led his men to safety, he was shot several times and killed. I believe if we could ask Scott if his mission was a success, I think he would say yes, because none of his men were wounded or killed. Scott, my son, put his men's safety above that of his own, and in turn they trusted him with their very lives. First Lieutenant Austin McNall spoke at a memorial ceremony in Afghanistan, and I'll quote, "The enemy made a fatal mistake in killing Scott, for he was the one person that was willing to give them a chance. They took away the person who if was still here, would counsel us to not seek vengeance. That would not be so. He was that good of a person." There's been a foundation set up in Scott's name, and we look forward to helping needy families with travel expenses to see their sons graduate from Ranger training. Scholarships are in place at the local schools. Checks have been written to the wounded warriors and their families to see their loved ones, which are gravely wounded at Walter Reed. These are all great things. However, good things have a price, and our freedom has a cost. The Milley family, the Monty family, and the other Gold Star families feel that cost every day. It's brutal. My son Scott will forever be remembered for his selfless sacrifice, for his love of God, his family, and his country. Rangers lead the way. Thank you.
Each of our great branches of service has their own hymn, their own anthem, if you will. Everybody knows my hymn, "From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli." However, if you serve the United States Army, you may know your hymn as "Caissons Go Rolling Along." A couple of years ago, they changed the words just a little bit. It's now called "Army First to Fight," but the tune is still the same. If you served in the United States Navy, your hymn has always been "Anchors Away." If you served in the United States Air Force or Army Air Corps before you became your own branch of military service, your hymn has always been "Wild Blue Yonder." Now, in addition, there's a group of men and women who not only guard our shores, but who are also deployed to combat venues throughout the world. These are the men and women of the United States Coast Guard. They also have a hymn they're very proud of. It's called "Semper Paratus," always ready. And finally, there was a group that was long forgotten, until an act of Congress in 1988 ordered that they will also be recognized as United States veterans. These are the Merchant Marines. At their peril, they used to take our boys overseas, supplies, boots, bullets, bandages, and many times they were sunk by enemy submarines. They have a hymn they're very proud of also. It's called "Heave Ho, My Lads Heave Ho." I would respectfully request, when I perform your hymn, if you have served, if you've supported somebody in your family, someone in your lineage, if you've lost somebody who has served, when I sing your hymn, if you can, please stand and at least raise your hand, tip your hat, give me a salute so I can properly recognize you. It's going to be Merchant Marines, Coast Guard, Army, Navy, Air Force, United States Marine Corps. Here we go.
Heave ho, my lads, heave ho. It's a long, long way to go. It's a long, long pull with the hatches full. Bring the wind, bring the sea, but in a treacherous flow. Heave ho, my lads, heave ho. Though the seas blow high and low, we can cross any ocean, sail any river. Give us those goods, and we'll deliver. Damn the submarines, we're the men of the Merchant Marines. Anybody Coast Guard? Coast Guardsmen? Where are you? We're always ready for the call. We place our trust in thee. Through howling gale and shot and shell, to win the victory. Semper Paratus is our guide, our pledge and motto too. We're always ready to or die. And Coast Guard, we fight for your army. Where's my arm? First to fight for the right and to build a nation's might. And the army goes rolling along. A proud of all we have done. dynamite until the battle's won, and the army goes rolling along. But it's hi, hi, hey, the army's on its way. Call up your cannons and strong, 2, 3. For wherever we go, you will always know that the army goes rolling along. Anchors away, my boys, anchors away. Farewell to college joys, we sail at break of day. Oh, our last night on shore, hail to the foam. Until we meet once more, here's wishing you a happy voyage home. Off we go into the wild blue yonder, flying high into the sun. Oh, down we dive, sputter flames from under, and to blood in the guard. Off we go, soon to meet our thunder, up in one hell of a roar. We live in pain, but down in flame, nothing can stop the U.S. Air Force. From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we will fight our country's battles in the air, on land and the sea. Help us to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. For we are proud to claim the title of United States Marines.
You know, I haven't done this song in a very long time, and I was thinking about it. I dusted it off. I brought it out today because I was thinking about it. You know, it's fantastic that they're raising money to erect a memorial, because there is nothing worse than people who have given everything for this country to be forgotten. And there was a war not too long ago. You know, they called it a conflict. And there were many, 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 many men that never made it back. And those who did make it back were treated terribly. And that scar can never be repaid by America. But there was a beautiful monument. It's the simplest and most beautiful monument down in Washington, D.C. And a sergeant in the United States Army wrote this song about that monument, and I'd like to do it for you right now.
On this DC morning in the middle of July, brother took me downtown to the mall. Past the watchful eyes of Lincoln, neath the weeping summer skies, crossed the streets to the little green and visited the wall. I remember I was nervous then, I guess a little scared, 'cause I wasn't sure how I'd react at all. To see the names of the servicemen who'd been recorded there, heard the final roll call and assembled at the mall. And every name's a father, or a husband, or a son, or a daughter, or a brother, or a cousin to someone. There's nearly 60,000 fallen names still waiting at the wall. On the peaks of her own Highland mountains, the spirit of Scotia reigns fearless and free. Her green tartan waving over Blue Rock and Mountain, proudly she sings looking over the sea. Brave, victorious,
Creative Yarn Basket.
Yay!
All right, there it is. From Kentucky, case of wine. Pizza Vino. Case of Vino. Thank you, ma'am. And now we have a Halloween basket filled with all sorts of goodies. 0839, what is that? 99? Is that a 9 or 7? 992. 992.
Everybody here right now, 5:45 today, you're all doing the right thing. Money in the kitty, you guys understand what today's all about in the last 4 hours of this afternoon. I, Ken Gidney, as a veteran, as a soldier, as a guy from Natick, I'll do the right thing. I just want to thank everybody. In this program, you'll find 182 fallen soldiers from Natick. There are 33 of them. The rest are 152 of Massachusetts fallen. Over the last year, I have met Mr. Monty, Mr. Milley, Dan Magoon. I play hockey with Dan. We will erect a memorial out front here, probably May of 2012. And I greatly appreciate your support.
Well, we finished it. We were happy to do it. And we hope you enjoyed it. And look forward to another one of our video tapings on Veterans Corner, where the patriotic events, happenings, interviews takes place. The scenes that are behind the scenes that we think you would enjoy seeing and be interested in. And right here, Sergeant Know-All? Yeah, Sergeant Know-It-All. He says it all. That's my boy.